Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we continue with our the Traveller Solo Classic Traveller series. Um, we're reaching the business end of the proceedings. It's the character creation stage. Um, the old favorite. Everyone likes Traveller's character creation process. Um, when you think of it, when it came out in 1977, it was quite a unique process, for want of a better word. There wasn't anything else like it really. It simulated in those days it was just 6 professions, and you were basically put through the mill of trying to enlist, trying to survive, trying to improve yourself. It was just a struggle. Everything was quite hard. There was no such thing as a free lunch in the Traveller universe. It came through hard effort, and then at the end of it, you got slammed with things like you would get aged. You might, if you're lucky, you might pick up a spaceship, a few tens of a low passage, which was always the rubbish thing to get in the mustering out. But we're going to sample some of the joys of that process now, with our a little band that we have created. I'm going to take us through the character creation process and see exactly how these individuals manifest themselves, how they develop skills, what their service record is all about, get some depth and understanding to them. Just see where we go with this. So I showed you the other day my overall schematic for character creation. I also have, as a carry on to that, I have what I call my character checklist, and I think we've already done some of the things on this checklist. The first one was we've rolled for character sex. So if I just remind you of what I've got my little by the way, I've decided to jettison the grid lines and just revert back to the analog table, because it was getting kind of in the way of the board, and I don't, there's enough clutter on the table as it is, without having other things. So I thought, right, let's just go back to basics. It's the table. The table is the thing. We generated these 4 individuals at the end of the video 2. We had a merchant, an army recruit, another army recruit, and a marine. They were female, male, female, and female. And also we generated their personalities. We had one who was independent, a strong independent woman. We had a cautious male army guy. Maybe caution is just he's just, maybe that's one of the reasons he's survived. Who knows? An honest and truthful army recruit, and the cruel marine, the famous cruel marine. So we're going to find out just exactly what makes these people tick, what they're going to be like as individuals, what skills they're going to develop, and what their service history is going to be all about. And I'm going to use this checklist and this nice handy 2-page spread, which you get in this nice glossy book. You get a 2-page spread that has everything I need to to generate some characters and some backstory with the aid of my little checklist, and I have a few other little things as well. So let's just run through this first. So roll for character sex, we've done that. Roll for initial career choice, we did that. That was just a straight thing on the draft roll. A roll for personality and determine the level, we did that because we got a strength of 2 for independence, 4 for cautious, 2 for honest, and 4 for cruel. So that's a low, medium split, because we remember we have the scale of 1 to 6. The next step, I think, should be to choose a name. And to choose a name, I'm going to just make that nice and random too. So I scratched my head and came up with some female names, some male names, and some surnames. So we're really just going to go to town on this and just go completely random, and we're just going to work out the names of our characters. We'll do this first, and then we'll go. What we'll do once we've done this and their home worlds, we will then go into individual detail, and we'll do it in order. We'll do the merchant, the army person, the next army person, and then the marine to last. And it'd be good if we can get some names for these people, and I don't just have to call them the female merchant and the male army man. It's not really great. So this is our opportunity to put some personalization and a bit of stamp on them. So let's do our female merchant first. So according to my little table, the way this works is that I have 3 columns, and I just do 1 to 2, it's column 1, 3 to 4, it's column 2, 5 to 6 is column 3. So I've got my magic dice here. The columns will be the red dice, and the rows will be the traveller black dice. So who we got? So Saria. Saria is the name of our merchant. Saria. And Saria has a surname, which we go through the same process of middle column, Junand. Saria, Junand. Merchant recruit, or potentially, she might be rejected. We'll do our army guy, the only male in this group. So let's see what his first name is. He is in the 3rd column, Bastion. And his surname is going to be 6, and it's column 1, Benez. Bastion Benez. Nice one. Okay. Our 3rd party member is a female army recruit. Let's see what her name is. She is in column 3, item 4, Fiora. And her surname is column 3, item 4, Hazel. Fiora Hazel. And these are just, I just pluck these names off. There's kind of like word name generators that you can use, and I just randomly just went through a few of them, and I also just made some of these things up myself. It's quite easy to come up with some. It's usually the female ones are all ends with A's and stuff, but the men ones I find just just think of just almost like household, Blade and Wagner and Dane and stuff. These are all kind of, I don't know. You can see where they can come from. Jet. Jet could maybe be a female, but in this instance, Jet Black was the drummer in the Stranglers, so maybe that's where I got that from. Right, and our final, the Cruel Marine. It seems to be turning into a bit of a fan favourite, this one. So let's see if the name matches the reputation. So that's going to be first column, item 3. Kira. And surname is going to be column 1, item 5. Gaines. Kira Gaines. Right, so we've got our 4 characters. They're all named. So if we go back to our checklist, the checklist says choose name, item 4, establish homeworld details, name and type. So luckily I got, and this is what I did with homeworld. I took a list of all the classification types. You can get agricultural, non-agricultural, industrial, non-industrial. This is all from the Traveller trade classifications, and they also added in water world, desert world, vacuum world, asteroid belt, ice world. I added in something called jungle world. I'll just come up with that, the details of that, what that is myself. Exotic world, which can either be volcanic, an eccentric orbit, or tidally locked. A special. Now these are, again, they're from these were in the Spinrad Marches expansion, and they were different imperial classifications of planets. So you would get things like an exile camp, an imperial prison, a research station, reservation, a red zone interdiction. So there's a possibility that these characters have come from a planet that had this on it. It maybe not had occupied the whole of the planet, maybe just part of it, or that there's a special reason. So that would be quite interesting backstory of why they would come from that. Or maybe they were displaced because the Imperium set up one of these things. Who knows? And then I repeat agricultural, non-agricultural, industrial, non-industrial, because they're probably more common designations. So let's see where Saria is from first. And the assumption is that these planets are not going to be within the subsector, and they're within the Imperium. This Imperium, I'm going to call it the Imperium. That's the large, the power, the big political force in this region. I'm going to assume that they're from one of the Imperium worlds, but not from this subsector. And that means I don't have to specify exactly the location. I can just say it's like a non-industrial world in the Imperium. So let's find out where they're from. And again, because this goes up to 36, it'll be a case of that's a D3. I'm treating that as a D3. So let's do our first one. So that's 1, 5, 15. Oh, rich. So she's from a rich world. That's nice. And then I have a random name thing as well. And I do encourage anybody watching this to maybe just fire in some suggestions, because I can use. This is something that I know Joy Wargaming was doing. He was getting people to come up with names for characters and stuff, and they're all being a bit ridiculous actually. Maybe I'm just going to tone it down and keep them to more kind of like your kind of cyberpunk type name. But you know, I am open to offers on names, and planet names is always a good thing. You can get yourself named in this subsector, right? We'll do the same thing. We'll do the columns and the rows. So it's column 1 for Piraeus. That's the name of the place, Piraeus, and I think that is the same as a place in Greece, which is near Athens. Piraeus, I think it's the port. So there you go. I knew I got it from somewhere. It's now substituting as a rich planet in the Imperium. Okay, let's see where Bastion is from. So we'll do his, so he is, that's 2022, Desert World. Desert. Okay. See, the thing about these classifications is your mind already starts racing, doesn't it? You know, as soon as you mention Desert World, you know, it just, you know, you get the Dune thing, you can get, also, you know, maybe it's like a Mad Max type thing, it's like post-Holocaust, there might be a reason there's a desert, you know, all that kind of stuff, it just starts ticking away. So Bastion, you know, maybe his backstory has something to do with atomics, or who knows. And let's find out what the name is. We get column 1 and 3, Bifrost. That's a good, sounds quite fantasy, that one, doesn't it? Bifrost. Okay. Right. Excuse me. Okay, right, let's do, we're on to Fiora now. She's in the army, or hopefully. So let's see where she's from. That's 36. It's non-industrial. Okay, a bit boring. Non-industrial. And the name, middle column 1, Vespasian. Oh, that's a good name for a planet, isn't it? Vespasian. I think that's named after a Roman emperor, Vespasian. I like Vespasian. That'd be a good name for our starting world, wouldn't it? Okay, she's from Vespasian. And then the Cruel Marine, Kira. I keep on thinking of, we've got a character in the AD&D campaign called Kayla, who is an 8th level magic user. And she's got, I think she's got barbaric, isn't it? And I thought that was cruel, you know, savagely cruel. So maybe this Marine is like her avatar in this traveler situation. It could be Kayla, the return of Kayla as Kira. Who knows? Let's see where Kira's from. You know, this could maybe explain her upbringing. Oh, she's cruel. You know, she could be one of these exotic things. So she is a 3 and a 3. Agricultural. Okay. She's escaped from the farm. And let's see what the name of the planet is. Column 3, 6, Primax. Okay. Right, so that's just done all the spade work on choosing their name, establishing their home world, name and type. And now we can get to, as I say, the business end of proceedings. We start doing individually what their personal characteristics are. I'll just do a quick heads up on how I plan to run these individuals. We proceed through this checklist. So there is a checklist here called the character generation checklist, and we just cycle through that for as long as a character wants to either stay in the service or are allowed to, because there's a re-enlistment rule. So we cycle through that. However, when we have roles, I've decided to have a bit of nuance to the interpretation of those, so that I can develop a bit of backstory. And also I've decided to do a ruling on the survival. So probably the survival is the most important thing to do. So whenever these are made and the modified score equal or exceeds the required score by 1, so either equal that, say we need a 5+ to pass and we roll a 6, that's one above. If we'd rolled a 5, that's equal. If it is either a 5 or a 6, the character has had a close escape, a mild mishap, or a near miss. And we roll on what I call my incident table and interpret the results as a lucky escape. Okay, so we're not going to be injured or anything. Failed rolls by a margin of 1 means the use of the optional discharge rule. You roll on the incidence table and follow the discharge route. And this was where I highlighted that the other day. It was in the actual detail, this optional rule here. If the referee or player chooses prior to character generation, then a failure of the survival roll can be converted to injury. And then we cash out after 2 years in that term. So I've decided that if we fail by 1, we'll go down that route. Failed rolls by a margin of 2+ will be treated as KIA, killed in action, death, atomization, anything fatal, explosive decompression. There's a whole list. Roll in the incidence table to determine the cause of death. Start a new character. So, that's the famous start a new character. Feasibly, and I know one of the subscribers mentioned this, I could be going up to episode 64 and still generating characters, theoretically. But let's just keep our fingers crossed. I will put in, remember, one of my golden rules. One of my golden rules. Use judgment to rule on any inconsistent or illogical results and outcomes that arise. That is the golden rule that we can always play our Joker if something is crazy is happening. So I can do that. On re-enlistment rolls, rolls equal to the score needed to indicate a close shave. Rolls 3+ above what is required are positives, and examples are shown under re-enlistment. I've got that, I'll show you that. And reasons for failures and resulting service discharge are included in the specific table. So this is really just to add a bit of colour if that happens. Excuse me. And then for other roles, things like getting commissions and promotions, any pass, which is a 3+, is a positive, and any roll, which is 3- is a negative, and we'll consult the relevant table. So I'm going to hopefully get a bit of colour in here. We might just get like straight rolls and then there's not really much going on. The idea is as we cycle through the terms and they start to acquire skills and they pass, they get promotions and stuff like that, I can maybe just kind of add a bit in to say, well, that's the reason for that was maybe they were on this planet and they had an expedition that kind of went awry, and this is the reason why they've slipped up, or something like that. Say they got electronic skills and that was because they were doing a special job on a starliner, and it became abandoned, and it got lost, and they had to get this person to do some extra curricular electronics work to help them out. It's that kind of thing. So let's have a quick look at the survival characteristics. I just get my sheet. Yes, this is what I call my survival roles incident table, and again I've got 18 of these, and if we get the 3 criteria, the close shave, because if we equal it or we're slightly above, the automatic discharge route where we fail by one, and the death. Game over if we fail by two or more. So I've got things like, we'll just roll randomly on what happens. So as an example, severely injured in action, in pursuit of duties during a crisis. Maybe the unit was massacred, blame the commanders, cover up. Duty in hostile, unpleasant environment, sustain specific environmental injury, mental trauma and stress. These are the type of things, like an ambush, a pirate attack, a criminal heist. Now, what I've tried to do is reflect different career paths in each of these. So they're not all going to be military, but they're going to be things to do with scouts, criminals, rogues, pirates, everybody. Things that are more kind of civilian orientated as well as military. We go on things like natural disaster, environmental catastrophe, nuclear attack, assassination attempt made, involvement of victim, target of contract, dishonourable discharge, in disgrace, set up, framed, escape. So it doesn't all have to be death. But what I'll do is I'll probably, if that is a death, that means that maybe they've done something dishonourable in the field of battle, and they are in disgrace, so. Or maybe they were set up and they were murdered, that kind of thing. This sounds all catastrophic. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to have to invoke this, but it might be quite good if we get like a near miss, and you think, ooh, there was an assassination attempt. I dodged the bullet there, type thing. There's a political coup on this planet. Oh, I avoided getting embroiled in that. Here's a religious revolution. I didn't get lynched by the crowd. I escaped that. Okay. And then on the positives, if we have during the actual service career, if we get a positive, I just have a D6 roll. Unfortunately, it's on a couple of pages there. A D6 roll, and things like you're given a special assignment, a mission, you receive a commendation, the unit's decorated, receive a reward, heroism in battle, go beyond call of duty, exemplary service, superb performance, produce a real gain, breakthrough, make a difference that benefits the organisation, unit or business. So I'm not just going to hand those things out. Most of the time you'll just be doing a good job. But sometimes there might be a case that you get specific merit. And then on the negative side, if you get a poor role, or very poor role, things like your performance review says, I'm afraid, Brian, you haven't really been pulling your weight this term, and you get a bit of a reprimand, bit of poor performance. Maybe there's a misconduct claim, sexual, racial, inappropriate conduct. Being accused of cowardice, shirking duties, avoiding responsibilities. It could be quite serious here, under investigation, internal affairs, internal audit, fraud. Ooh, sounds a bit, make an enemy in the organisation, lose weight. This is maybe more a personal thing. Loss of motivation, personal crisis, breakdown, mental health. I don't really want to go, this isn't going to be like some sort of psychological soap opera. But, these are maybe like real kind of problems that individuals might get cycling through their careers. And it's designed just to give me a bit of a help to add a bit of colour to the proceedings. And then on the re-enlistment, if we get a failure, it could be down to things like hard times, economic downturn, there's a recession, maybe there's a peacetime contraction, famous downsizing that you'd get in industry, a syndicate purge in a criminal organisation, and then it could be just down to poor performance, accusations, concerns about your competency, addiction issues. My goodness, whoa, and this opens a whole can of worms. And because I've got options, I'll just randomly assess which one's the most appropriate. Okay, so I think I've done enough with the theory. Let's get on on with the business. So first to take the spot is going to be Saria Junand, from the rich planet of Piraeus. She is a merchant, or she plans to be a merchant. She's desperate to join the merchant marine. First thing we do is roll her personal characteristics with my little modification that we take 2 of the pertinent requisites and roll 3 dice and select the best 2. So that is what we are going to do with Saria. So I will get my piece of paper and I'll just start working on this. So we have Saria Junand. She's applying to be a merchant, and she is a female. Okay, so let's have a look at what the merchant's all about. And when we're trying to calibrate the pertinent requisites, we really only have intelligence. Intelligence is very important, and strength gets mentioned. So I would say the only pertinent ones are going to be strength and intelligence. So let's do that. So we will get her statistics here. We have strength, dexterity, endurance, intelligence, education, and social standing. That's our UPP, and that would come as 6 numbers and letters, because it's hexadecimal, in a line. But I'm just going to do it for the sake of this exercise, have it here, and then I can have all the terms here with their skills, and I'll just have these as little, try to keep them to small compact units, and then I'll draw them up onto a nice sheet, take them out my pad, and start creating a folder, a traveller folder for this campaign. So let's do Saria's strength, and we roll 3 dice and take the best 2. So not a great start. That's a 7. Okay. Dexterity, we just roll 2 dice. Oh, that's a good start. We call that an A, because it's 10. Endurance, not fantastic, 5. Intelligence, now this is one where we roll 3 dice and take the best 2. Again, 8 is okay, it's above average. Maybe we'll get some improvement, personal development improvement that can boost it. Education, get rid of my dice there. 10, that's good. So quite a strong set of characteristics already. And social, yeah, that's good. So she's from a nice middle class family. On the rich, maybe she's had a nice background. She's maybe had a bit of help to get into the merchant marine. I'm not saying that, but you never know. So let's do, we start with enlistment. And with the merchants, they have an enlistment roll of 7+, and they get a DM of +1 if their strength is 7+. It is. And intelligence 6+. Our intelligence is 8. So we'll get +3. So that means all we need is 4 or more, and we're in merchants. So let's roll for Saria. We pass. So she goes along to, maybe there's a local merchant office, merchant marine office in our home world. There's bound to be, like, it's a big starport. It's going to be a rich planet. It's probably got quite a large starport. She applies through the academy, and she's maybe she comes pretty high up in her class and she's taken. So we start with term 1. That's a good start. And what we have here is that we have a survival role, and it's a DM of +2 of intelligence 7, and we know that her intelligence is 8, so she'll get a +2. So her survival is always going to be a 3+. And then, so I would say we will just try to roll 3+. So this is our first traveller challenge. After the interview, does she survive her first term? She does, with flying colours. Maybe it was quite a quiet little tour of duty. Didn't really see very much action. You're not really expecting in the Merchant Marine. It's a rich planet. Maybe she's doing the kind of space lanes. It's very safe. Safe between maybe some rich agricultural planets. Nothing special. So what we can do is carry on with her. We need to do her commission. This is to see whether she can get admitted into as 4th officer, which is the first rank. She needs to pass her commission roll. Intelligence of 6+ gives a +1. So this looks like it's almost a good chance of. I think the swings and roundabouts with merchants is it's very difficult to get a promotion. So it might be easy to get to 4th officer, but thereafter it's quite a struggle to get up unless you've got exceptional intelligence. And unfortunately, she doesn't. She's only 1 off, so it might be worthwhile trying to buff our intelligence through person. I don't think. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't do that through personal. That is a shame. So it's going to be quite a difficult, it's going to be quite a struggle to get promotion. However, let's hope that she just needs a 3+ to get a commission. So we'll roll for that. Easily gets a commission. And we could interpret that with our little diagram if we want to. It's probably so easy to get a positive there that this might actually be a bit more academic. But there might be a reason why. Let's just do a D6 and see what happens. That'll be a 2. Actually, she receives a commendation, so she probably gets a special mention to say, well, this Saria, she's a fantastic recruit. She's doing a great job in our merchant vessel. She has to be. You have to give her 4th officer. So we get a commission. That's good. And then we go for promotion as well, because you can do that in your first term. And obviously we don't have the intelligence 9+, so it's a 10+ roll. So this is really quite out there if we're going to get this. So let's see what Saria can do. No. And in fact we get a rather poor one. I would say it's a bit harsh maybe if we do a negative on that, because it's such a high roll. Maybe they just think, you know, she's either been passed for promotion because there's someone else, or they've just decided that maybe it's a bit too early to get her to 3rd officer. Maybe she needs a bit more development. Maybe she's not showing enough acumen in the role. What we have now is that we can calculate our skills, and for the initial term of service we get 2, and then upon receiving a commission we get 1. So we will get 3 skills in our first term. So what we do is we select them immediately. We get a choice: personal development, service skills, advanced education, or advanced education if we have an education of 8+, which we can easily do because we are very well educated into either university or college. So I would say it might be quite nice maybe to go for a bit of personal development at the start. Let's do a service skill, because we really want to learn how the ship operates. And then we'll go for an advanced education 8+, because that might give us something special and we'll probably do advanced education table, this one, later on if we stay on. But I'd quite like to maybe get access to something special. So let's do our personal development table first. So that's a D6 for that. Ooh, that popped out, so that's a 6. Bribery. Well, so maybe she's been, she's maybe got the wrong, fallen in with the wrong merchant captain. And there's a bit of skullduggery going on here. You know, and she's been introduced to bribing officials and maybe shortcutting protocols. So yeah, there's something to maybe think about. Maybe there's initially a bit of a shady start to Saria's career. So that maybe not, that was quite a surprise, wasn't it? You're just expecting her to get a bit of strength training, and then she ends up learning how to bribe officials. It might be, you know, it'd be interesting to see what bribery, what the blurb is. Maybe there's some more kind of honest forms of bribery, but it does sound like it is a criminal offence, and being caught at bribery. But let's carry on. We want to do a service skill too, so that's a D6, and we get electronics. Okay, so a good trade there. She's learning on the job. She must have been deployed into maybe a little task force that run around the ship and do repairs. And then she does a special course for advanced education, and we roll the D6 for that, and she gets trained as in admin. So maybe the bribery she's picked up just how to get round bureaucratic channels, and maybe she's found out some back doors to things, maybe just some trade secrets. And that could be classified as the bribery, but she really knows the workings of organisations. That's what she's learned, taken in our first term. So we've come to the end of our first term. I would say that she wants to try to re-enlist, so we will roll a 4+, and she will re-enlist. So it's a good chance that she's going to re-enlist. So let's see what happens. Ooh. Just. So, term 2. So that means that she has a close shave, doesn't it? I think. So we can do a little, yeah. Rolls equal to the score needed indicate a close shave. So let's see what the close shave is. Already in our first term. So where's my re-enlistment roll for it? So roll a D6 for that. So what has caused the close shave? 3. Ooh. The one that you probably didn't want in your first term. Poor performance accusations, competency concerns, addiction issues. Wow. Okay. She's got back in, so maybe let's see if she comes to the straight and narrow. So I would just say we'll do 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, and let's hope it's not an addiction issue. I mean, what a start. Oh no, she's addicted. Okay, so we have addiction issues, so we'll just make a note of that. Maybe what she does is she can clean up her act. She's obviously, there's something going on here with this bribery. She's got into some sort of bad network, that she's learning things like bribery. There's addiction issues on the go. She's just scraped back in. Maybe she's just on a high wire just now. It's touch and go. You know, Saria, what are you doing to us? You're putting us through the mill already. It was just supposed to be a nice, straightforward merchant character, but oh my goodness. Okay, so we're on to term 2. Quite an eventful first term, even though it was quiet. She learned quite a lot of interesting skills. She's addicted to something. We're not quite sure what. Excuse me. And what I think I'll do, because you could probably hear that I still have a bit of a cough just now, and my voice isn't the strongest just now. So what I'm going to do is maybe just limit some of my videos to just a bit shorter type thing, and just do them more in kind of bite-sized chunks. So what I plan to do is maybe just halt in the proceedings just now, and I can come back and we can finish off Saria in the next episode. You know, now that we've gone through all the kind of the theoretical side, we can probably get through at quite a pace these other characters, and I'd quite like to go. You know, it's quite good fun actually going into a bit of detail on each of the individual ones. And if we're going to take a bit of time, we're going to take a bit of time. But you know, I'd rather do it with a kind of nice strong voice that I can articulate and provide all that interesting backstory. If you bear with me just now, I might just wait and finish off Saria's character in the next episode. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.